Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's your guy Horen Aroma as usual. Today, I just have an interesting topic that we need to discuss and share a little bit knowledge. Now, I just want to ask a simple question today. What do you understand by the term culture? And what is a culture? What is a culture? Most of the time, people we confuse the culture with other things. The culture is your way of living, your lifestyle, the standard of living, the standard that you set the pace into your life that was set since the beginning with your forefathers. They lived in the same and walked in the same spirit and were guided by the same. Most of the people tend to confuse that with what they think based on the borrowed culture from the Western. Currently, we have the Western culture that we do copy, but we doesn't understand how best that culture works for these people. Why don't we too maintain our culture? Because when someone gives birth to a child has a common way of speaking or talking to the mother or sending signals to the mother that the mother can interpret and understand what the child really wants at that particular time or at that particular moment. The same with you there. We've been talking our way. We will need to walk in it. Let me tell you, in the African traditional heritage, we had our culture. And each and every community within our locality had a culture that they believe they had a culture or their way of living. They believed in that, and it really worked well with them. And they had a way, their forefathers had a way of consulting God. Yeah. And God was speaking to them and was granting their wishes. And everything worked in their favors. What happens today that the same cannot happen with us? Because we abandoned our culture and now we are adopting some other foreign cultures that are not conforming with what we have to make and adopt as our way of living. Most of the people talk of, nowadays I'm a Christian. Me, I'm a child of God. Yes, you are a child of God. I don't dispute that. And the same God talks to you in different ways in several cultures. Let's get back to the Bible. The Bible itself is a culture. And a Bible as a cultural practice for the religion and practice for the Christians that believed in the existence and the mighty powers of God. They have a way to live. And it has a series of stories, a set of programs that you need to understand from one community to another. For example, the Israelites. Israelites as a nation, there is Samaritans, they are Jewish, they are Syrians, among other people. Now let me make it funny for you. If you look at the Samaritans or the Samarians, these people had their way of living. They had their culture. If you read through the Philippines, the Philippines itself, the Philippines as a nation and as a people had their way of worship and a culture they were following within the Christianity. The Jewish too had their culture within that same Christianity. What is this one telling you? The Syrians had a culture. The Babylonians had a culture. The Egyptians had a culture. The Ethiopians had a culture. Hebrews had a culture. What Thessalonians had a culture. Mm-hmm. And then, what do you call or what do you want to tell us? To a point, we lower our dignities as the living being, as the superior one, the second in the hierarchy of beings after God the Creator. We start walking naked. People are walking naked. You expose what is not supposed to be exposed because of a particular culture. You think that is the very best, and this is one thing that makes you detach from your Creator, the God of universe, including the security personnel that He has assigned in your life. God gets scared because that is not the purpose that He created you for. And then you are busy telling us the culture, the culture. When you walk naked and you have a brain capacity well exposed and you understand, because the knowledge of the good and evil is ready with you, you can depict and comprehend and ensure that whatever you do conform to the way of living and respectfully honor God in everything you do. Because God Himself, our God, is a diversified God, a God of different cultures, a God with different images. Because let me tell you, He created man, He created them in His own image and likeness. How what's the image of God? It's you listening to me as my viewer and the good listener. It's I am in the image of God as you look at my face here talking to you. You there. You are in the image of God. Look at yourself and look at another one close, your neighbor or anybody. How do they look? God is a diversified God, and He had set everything in place to ensure that you have numerous and a lot of things, everything you need around you, such that you don't blame Him for whatever He's doing purposely based on what He has intended as your creator for your life to be. We are messing ourselves and our generations because of the cultures that we are getting into. We are detaching ourselves from God in the spiritual realm. Our spiritual life is dying day by day because we are detaching ourselves from God through copying different and foreign cultures that we doesn't understand how it works or how they work for the people that were found in such cultures. In the same holy book, the Bible, we are told, and even in your Qurans that you read, we are told God initiated and ensured that diversified languages came into place, and He had a reason for everything. And each and every environment and an ecosystem that each and every individual finds themselves in is as a result of the mighty work of God, and why He has put you in that place. There is a purpose and a particular reason for God. And once you are still living on earth, because the purpose and the reason for God that makes you live is not yet done. Once this is done, you'll be laid to rest. And when God says remember, you will remember. And once you are forced back into the old and ancient ways that our forefathers walked in, is when you will understand the attachment between your spirit and that of the universe, God the Creator. The Spirit of God was hovering all over the surface. That is Genesis 1. And that same Spirit of God created you in their image. Now look at yourself and see God around you. Look at your neighbor and know that God is living close to you. And the Spirit of God is within you and is with you and will continue guiding you always until the purpose of you living it's done. It's very fundamental that we need to understand before you start coping, before we start going through into different cultures. We need to get into all and study and find out and figure out so that we lead the very best. Sometimes we condemn our old mamas and babus that they are the analog team, but they are the backbone of everything existing today with us through God the Creator. And when an old woman talks to you, listen to that voice. Some have evil intentions, evil spirits around them, but more few that are possessed with the good spirit of God definitely will tell you the truth and they won't lie. Give them honor as you glorify God. For indeed God really uses such kind of people, and their lives is much better than yesterday. Yeah? If you find this educative and good enough, ensure don't listen there because it is a bitter truth. You'll skip. Subscribe, like, share, and comment. Let other people too learn of this message. Let us stop staying in denial. Let us live in our reality and the truth. And that is the very best of all we need to have at all costs. Be blessed.